Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Friday FARcast. We were right on time, on the dot, 12 noon, and you're in for an hour of some very interesting conversation. We're going to have my good buddy Kenneth Dungan, the Cosmic Cowboy, with us for the next hour, and he's got a very interesting story that he's going to share with us, and it has to do with his experience in life as a walk-in. Now, we've read a lot about walk-ins. I remember the first time I think I read about walk-ins was in a Ruth Montgomery book, and she brought the subject up. And some of you might even feel like you're walk-ins at times. I've even had the experience of maybe being a bit of a walk-in for an after moment, but not quite like Kenneth. And we're going to get into that in the first hour. In the second hour, we'll be joined by my good buddy Mark S. from Cruelty Free Cartoons. And he's going to be doing some live illustration work. So some of you who are interested in having your, I like to call them spirit caricatures. I'm sure he has a name for them that is probably more fitting for his work. But if you have seen Mark on the show before, he's brilliant and is able to bring out the kind of the essence and magic of people in a very short period of time. So he'll be with us in hour two. And just want to say a shout out to Chattoria. Greetings, everybody. And let's not waste any more time here. We have Kenneth for an hour, and let's dive into it. Kenneth, welcome to the Friday FARcast.
Well, thank you, Robert, and hello to the audience.
So Kenneth and I have been kind of in orbit for a few years. And have had some contact through Facebook, and I think we had a phone conversation one time back around, I don't know, might have been 2016 or 2017. And I've known Kenneth mostly as somebody who lives a very independent, very philosophical life, kind of life on the range, doing a lot of cowboying, hence the Cosmic Cowboy moniker. And Kenneth is currently in Moab, Utah, and spent a lot of time in Sedona, about 25 years in Sedona. So he's very familiar with these areas that we would call sacred spaces and sacred places. And other than that, those are my thumbnail bio notes, details on Kenneth. So why don't we bring him in a little bit more here? Kenneth, why don't you tell us a little bit about your life in general before we go into this moment that happened to you 40 years ago?
All righty. Well, as a young man, my father drove for Mayflower Van Lines, a moving company.
Mm-hmm.
And I traveled with him as much as I could. So by the time I was 17, I had seen 48 states. So I was way above everybody else, as far as being an adult. And I didn't finish school because of that. I didn't need it, they said. So I started traveling, experiencing things. And my experiences, I've done so many things as far as work. I get tired. I get bored really quick. And I go on to learn something else. And it's been like that my whole life. And when I got tired of it or wanted to relax, I'd go cowboy, by myself, which is a real quiet life and easy. Then when I hit 40, things changed. There was divine intervention going on, and I knew it. When things happen that are not normal, there's a hand in your life that's guiding you in a certain direction. Mm-hmm. So that happened, and I ran into these two old miners down around Apache Junction at a friend of mine's house, and they were talking some really big words. And I said, what does metaphysical mean? And he goes, oh, you want to know more, huh? And I said, yeah. He said, why don't you ask the cosmic universe to show you the mysteries? Says, but when you do, you be ready, because in the next 6 months, your life's going to turn upside down and change. So I thought about that, Robert, and I made that prayer. And sure enough, everything changed, and I wound up in Sedona, Arizona. That's where my life began. Basically, that's where I started learning.
So how did you get to Sedona? Was it a job? Were you drawn to it? I mean,
It
what was the
was.
mechanism that brought you there?
Well, I was driving a truck in Phoenix, and I got a DUI in Cottonwood, which is right outside of
Oh, I know
Sedona.
Cottonwood. I've stayed in Cottonwood.
Yeah, it's right outside of Sedona, and so they took away my license. I couldn't work anymore. So then I went and stayed with a friend of mine where I met those miners at. And then I was hired in Roosevelt to build that big suspension job.
Mm-hmm.
And they laid me off, and I got a call from Sedona to work there building the bridge. 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I went into Crystal Magic bookstore there, and I picked up the books called Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East.
I know that book. Was it T. Spalding Baird or something like that?
Baird T. Spalding.
Baird T. Spalding. I have a copy of that book somewhere. That's an amazing book.
Yeah, everything just started. It seemed like everything started coming alive at that point.
Right.
You know, I'd be reading about something, and then I would have that experience. And Sedona, you know, it's a place where the Indians went for their vision quest, and then they would leave.
Yes.
Area.
Important point.
Right. Well, the people have just overtaken it to where that energy's still there, and it seems like it's exploded in some ways. Now, I've met 7 different ETs through this whole thing.
Okay. 7. We talking 7 different species or 7 different? Break that down a little bit.
Okay, they're all different. They the first ones were the Pleiadians. Okay, I was 40 years old, and I was in town having a beer one day, and this woman walked up to me and said she'd like to sit and talk with me, and I said, "Fine, have a seat." She was a nice-looking woman, you know. I mean, I'm not going to run her off.
Right.
And as we started talking, she told me that she was asked to go to me and make an appointment to meet some ETs. And I kind of laughed, you know. I never thought much about UFOs or ETs at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me they want to make an appointment to meet with me. So I said, yeah, sure. I said, but I'm going out of town for the summer, and I'm going to Canada to build some cabins. She goes, well, when you come back, can we get together and talk? I said, sure. Her name is excuse me. Her name is Sandra Bowen, who is a top psychic.
Okay.
So I left, went to Canada. That project fell apart. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to Redding, California, where my family's at, visit them, and go back to Sedona, which I did. Now, when I was there, my aunt handed me a book by Ruth Montgomery.
Here we go.
Yeah. And that book was called Strangers Among Us.
Right.
And I read that book, which it wasn't a big one. And it sat with me perfectly, because basically I had finished my bucket list at the age of 40. And I didn't know what I was going to do next.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she said that you when you're finished like that, you can allow a swap of souls to use your body to accomplish what they need to do, and you can move up to a higher plane of existence.
Right. Before you finish this thought, I have to ask you about the woman, and she asked you about the Pleiadians. When she asked you that, did you think she was kind of crazy? What were your thoughts around the whole thing?
Well, and it was just, I just blew it off. I thought it was just bar talk, you know,
Right.
and I didn't think much of it at all.
Yeah.
But so when I got up there and read that book, and I thought fits me perfect. Now there's conditions for this to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and I met that criteria. Now I was raised there partially in Summit City, right on Lake Shasta, and I could see Mount Shasta from my house when I was a little boy with my grandparents. And
Mm-hmm.
she told me that there were people living in that mountain. Now
Which I've heard before. Yeah.
she's half Choctaw Indian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Little did I know that in my future I would be meeting one of them. And he was one of the 7. So I read that book, and I decided, you know, I would do that, but only on certain conditions. And one was that my body be used for the highest of reasons, nothing negative, but for, for the better of mankind.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a condition in there that I had to be conscious when this took place.
So you're reading Ruth Montgomery. Ruth Montgomery is kind of like a gateway drug for spirituality in some ways, right? Because she covers all these different bases. It's all very interesting. So you're reading Ruth Montgomery, and you're like, and by the way, astrologically, you're kind of at the Uranus opposition, which is right around the midlife crisis. So you're like looking at your life, and you're saying, okay, this is kind of played out a little bit. So maybe I'm a good candidate for this. So what were the conditions?
Well, you can't be attached emotionally at all to
Right.
anybody. You can't, because if you leave, it's going to cause somebody tears and pain, because they're going to mourn for you, and this is not allowed. So I met that criteria, and that was the main one I can remember. I think there's a couple others. So I went to Mount Shasta for the night, and I said that prayer. I spent the night on Mount Shasta, and from there I went back, said goodbye to everybody in Reading. I went back to Sedona. Well, when I got back to Sedona, the first thing I did was run into this gal by chance, and she asked me if I was a walk-in. Well, it shocked me because I'd never even heard of those words before.
Mm-hmm.
Before I read the book, and in the book it says you're not to speak of it to anybody. At that time, Robert, people weren't ready to understand these type of things.
Right.
So I kept quiet about it. And I told her, no, I'm not a walk-in. I said, but I need to get to work. And when I get to work, I'll have a little money and we'll go out and have dinner. And we'll talk. A week later, I ran into her again. And she walks up and says, are you a walk-in? I said, no, but it's getting ready to happen. And she latched on to me like I was gold. Now, she was the head of a mastermind group of psychics. Before meeting her, I never believed in psychics. I didn't have a clue what it was all about.
Right.
She changed my mind and showed me a lot. So she told me about the appointment with the ETs. She didn't say Pleiadians. She said ETs. And we made that appointment for May 29th, and it was to be on the new moon. Well, that time comes around, and I'm out partying, having a good time, and I missed the appointment. The next day, they sent her back to me, and she said they want to reschedule. At that time, I thought, well, yeah. So at that time, I thought, there's got to be something to this.
Right.
So she said they want to reschedule for June 28th on the new moon. Now, the new moon is important to them because there's less energy flowing. Okay, things kind
And
of
we're
get
on a new moon today.
I know. Today's the new moon. I watch that carefully. So it had to be the new moon. Well, Robert, during that time, and I was staying with Sandra at her home during this time and getting a little more understanding of what's going on. And I become part of that mastermind group. Everybody in there knew what was going on with me, but they didn't talk about it. They knew that a walk-in was coming, okay? And they were all very interesting people, all honest, giving, loving people. And so I started seeing things. I'd walk out at night in her back door, and lightning was going on and no thunder. I had a pair of birds there, robins, that were following me everywhere I went. And here's the one that really blew me away. I walked outside, and her little flowers, they were daisies, were going. They were talking. They were going, oh, there he is. There he is. So there was a part of a dimension that I was in, but still in the third. And I was experiencing these things. There's many other things that happened also. So time goes on, and the 28th shows up, and we go to bed. 1:30 at night, I woke up, and immediately there's this shining body of light. It looked like a person, but it was mainly just white, beautiful energy. But that energy was so strong, I got afraid, and I just trembled in fear. And when I trembled like that, he would fade out, and my fear would reside, and he'd come back. We did this about 6 times, and I couldn't overcome that fear. I mean, it was the strongest fear I've ever felt in my life.
So 6 times in one night, or 6 times over a period of time?
No, at that one night.
Okay, so there was a contact of some sort.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and so when you got to the height of the energetic point of the contact, you couldn't handle it, and so then they would back off. So there was this interesting kind of like dance with the energy, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more than my body could handle. So the last time he left and didn't come back, and she asked me, she goes, why do you fear them? They just want to talk to you. And I said, well, I don't mean to fear them. The next day she starts telling me that they're Pleiadians, and that they speak with thought transference rather than vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
And all you have to do is think to them, and they hear you. And she told me a little bit more about them, where they live, what they do. And the next night come, and I woke up at that same time, and I thought immediately, I wish they'd come back. Well, there he is, standing at the end of my bed again. And I went into that trembling. I mean, just uncontrollable. And he did this one time, and then I thought to him, I don't mean to fear you. And then immediately, this incredible love went through my crown chakra and all the way through my body. I could feel it just touching every nerve in my body. It's the most beautiful love I've ever felt. And then I fell asleep. Well, the next day, we got up and Sandra told me, she says, they have some things they want to tell you. See, she could communicate with them. And I said, who are they? She goes, you have a whole audience of ETs. She says, and your Indian ancestry is here. A lot of the chiefs and the family from the Choctaws are here watching. She says, you have a large audience. And I
So
said,
what is
okay.
going on in your head at this time? Are like these people are nuts? I got to get out of here. Are you mildly curious? Like where's your head at?
Well, me being Aquarian, I think universally.
Right.
I want to know everything. And I try to stand back as a third party and look at everything, so I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing it just from my point of view.
So you're detaching. You're like observing. Like you like let me check this thing out and see where it goes. Right.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And that love that was there, that's what changes you. That incredible love that they showed me. The whole experience. I got to find out, come to find out, thinking about it all in the future, their energy is so immense that the physical body in the 3D is not able to be around it without it changing them. So that's where the fear come from. It was the energy in them. There's passages in the Bible where some of them come upon angels and they trembled in fear.
Yeah.
I think one of them was the Apostle Paul. Now, I've got a very strong background in Christianity. And so I associate some of these things with that religion. And I can understand some of it better.
Right.
So during that next morning, she's telling me that there's 3 things that are going to happen in my future, and they want me to know it. One of them was to watch Thunder Mountain, which is right in front of where she lived. It's a sacred mountain to the Indians. Just keep an eye on the sky above it, she said. And another one was that I was going to be standing in a large body of water in 6 months. Well, I was out riding a horse at dusk, about 10 miles out of Sedona, with a friend of mine, and these 7 stars come in above Thunder Mountain, and they make an arc like a C, and then they danced back and forth, and then came back in that arc again, and then in the blink of an eye, they scattered and were gone. Keo, the girl I was with, saw one of them leaving, but she didn't see the arc. So that was the first one that they told me was going to happen. The second one, I had to help a friend of mine move back to Duluth, Minnesota from there. And after I moved in there, I went down by the Lake Superior, and the thought come to me that I'd be standing by a large body of water. And there it was, the largest body of water in the United States I was overlooking it. The third one has to do, and this one is still yet to come, and it still puzzles me. But after the first 2 happening, exactly like they said, then I have no doubt it's going to happen. And the third one is that I'm supposed to um, activate the 13 crystal skulls when the 13th one is found. Now, Sandra, the psychic, co-authored a book on the mystery of the crystal skulls revealed.
Mm-hmm.
So this all ties in, and there's stories about more of that on the side that I'm not going to get into today, that all bring me to this point of the crystal skulls.
Mm-hmm.
I never did even watch Indiana Jones and that about the crystal skull, but it really intrigued me. So I've studied it for all these years. Now, they told me that I would use a certain tool to activate them, and they said it would be a crystal flute.
Isn't there one in the White House or something?
I don't
There
know.
is. What's her name? Lizzo played it. They have one.
Oh, really?
They have a crystal flute in the White House. So you need to go to the White House. I think it was like James Monroe or one of those old presidents had this crystal flute, and Lizzo played it. So
Well, this isn't. That's where I made my mistake, is thinking the kind of flute you're talking about.
this is different.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it took me 26 years to figure out that I was thinking in the wrong area. Okay, now let me go back to right after the walk-in. I was at home, and I needed to get in touch with Sandra real bad, but I knew that she had her clients from 10 to 12 in the morning, and that I wasn't going to get through. So I had a crystal goblet in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
a crystal flute, and I started running my finger around the top of the edge of it to
Mm-hmm.
make it sing. And it started singing, and I sent my thoughts on that to her, saying, "Call me, Sandra, call me." And what happened, my two robins started slamming into her front window, picture window. And she cut it short and called me. She says, "Are you trying to get in touch with me?"
So, all right, let's back up here just a little bit. Couple
Okay.
things.
All right.
Now, there are some people, and I'm not saying this is the case, but because I am, kind of coming out of a journalistic world, there are some people who have debunked the crystal skulls, that they're not real. There are other people who have clearly can trace them back to theoretical Atlantis, right? And the fall of Atlantis and some, high level chicanery that
Right.
went on.
Right.
So where are you with that? Because it hasn't happened yet. Do you still have belief and faith that the crystal skulls are in your future and they're real? Have you questioned it? Where are you in that part of the story?
I'll tell you exactly where I'm at. And I want everybody to listen real carefully. I have learned in my lifetime that we don't have to make a choice whether to believe it or not. We can stay neutral. As a matter of fact, it's the best thing we can do.
That's actually really good advice, Kenneth.
Pardon me?
That's good advice.
Yeah, that way we're not making a judgment. And that way also we have our ears open to listen more without thinking what we're going to say as soon as that mouth is finished talking.
Right.
So your attention is much closer. And one little word can make a whole difference in the world if you're paying attention or not. So all information that I get anymore, I catalog. I don't make any judgment on it.
Interesting. That's very Aquarian.
Yeah, well, I was born on the 8th, the day of precognition, which I'm very strong with my precognition, So where was I at here?
Well, we were talking about Sandra and the birds, and she asked if you were trying to get in touch with her.
Yeah. So I told her yes. I don't even remember why. But without that memory of doing that, I would never have realized that it was not a crystal flute that you play that's long, but it was the drinking goblet.
The drinking goblin. Okay.
And after studying, I studied Alice Bailey. I've got all of her books and Blavatsky's, and just I read half the library. And understanding part of physics on planet Earth, a sound, a vibration can be carried clear around this world. You're not going to hear it, but that will go around this world. The vibration will. I know that as a fact. I think about somebody on the other side of the planet that I know, and they'll call me, or I'll call them because I know something's going on. So this is where we're at with the crystal flute. It wasn't. It wasn't the fact that I had to play a tune or anything. It was the fact that I had to think with my mind while I'm doing that, making a certain tone that this is going to happen.
Right.
Now I called Sandra a couple years ago, and well, let me go back to 1995. She had a nervous system problem, and it's taken a lot of her memory from her now.
Yep.
And she didn't remember me, but when I said crystal skulls, I asked her, I said, is the 13th one found yet? I hadn't talked to her in years. She goes, no, it's supposed to be in Utah somewhere. Of all the places I could be, I'm here in Utah.
Right. Right. So you're on
She
your
said,
own Indiana Jones journey for the 13th skull.
yeah,
Let's get back to the walk-in part. So at this part, right, you're having these dialogues, you're having these experiences. Had you officially become a walk-in? Like, where are you with that on this part of your journey?
oh yeah, on this part of my journey right now.
No, the time we're talking about, like with the birds against the door, getting Sandra's attention, the crystal flute. Are you a walk-in at this point?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you notice in terms of your identity? Did you feel different? Did your interests change? Did people notice things about you that were different? Like, what kind of confirmation in the physical world might you have been getting as a result of this?
Yeah, I understand what you're asking. Well, as I told you, they were showing me a lot of things a month before.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a heaven on earth. All that went away, and I was right back in 3D completely.
Mm-hmm.
So and then Sandra turned her back and went the other way and wouldn't talk to me. She was only there for that reason. But there was a part of me that knew who I was finally.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I knew where I was going when I leave here.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, there's so few people that know who they are and where they're going, and it can be accomplished by anybody. And so yeah, that changed. And then the next day after the walk-in, there was black helicopters flying around, and that's one thing that I don't understand. And it happens with other walk-ins, from what I understand.
So the official moment is when this being filled you with love from head to toe.
Right.
Got it. Okay, so there was an interdimensional blending, and then that became part of you. Is that correct?
Yeah. The most I can gather is that my soul, I was added another a larger part of my soul. It was added to me.
Mm-hmm.
And during that month before, she would be talking to them. And I go, who are you talking to? She goes, Pleiadians. And I said, what are they saying? She goes, well, they're rewiring you. So your soul, the soul that's going to walk in, can stay in your body. She goes, only so much energy can stay in a body, and it has to be compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So, at that time, I didn't understand what she was talking about.
Right.
But right before the walk-in, before that energy went through my crown chakra, I could hear like a radio dialing in.
Mm-hmm.
So they were dialing a frequency to my frequency in my body. It's called my frequency signature.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've studied that quite a bit since then. So it all had to be precise. Now, this is technology they're using to put a soul in a body. And this happens way more than people realize. Walk-ins are all over. Jesus,
yeah. Go ahead.
Jesus was a walk-in at the River Jordan with John the Baptist when the Holy Spirit came down on him. You see, he had a name. He had a place he lived before he came here and before he took the body of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've done research. I found out where he lived and all, what he did before then. Few people know that. What was your question?
Oh, well, I have a new question now.
Okay.
Actually, it's more of a comment than a question, but I do have a question. The comment was the whole idea of the Holy Spirit as a transmission of a walk-in, right? I mean, that's the part of the Trinity that is probably most misunderstood by people. What are your
Very
thoughts
much
on
so.
that?
Very much so. My thoughts on it is we're all eternal, every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And we come here with no memories because it would get in our way. And this was one of the hardest dimensions to live in. And when we get out of here, it's going to be a great asset to experience everything we have.
Right. Right.
And I also believe that our chromosomes were short and they're not active.
Mm-hmm.
But once we get out of the 3D matrix, they revert back to the 5D, which gives us so many more abilities. Now, I'm still in touch with the Pleiadians. They're my family. The Indians called them our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the star people, and that's the way I see them now.
Right. They did talk about the star people.
Yeah, they're my family. They're everybody's family, and each one of us, many of us, come from different ETs and different parts of the universe here, and we incarnate here to experience the 3D in human life. So we're all going back when we leave here to where we came from. That's why there's so many different types of people on the planet, because they're different.
There seems to be some sense and correlation around that, for sure.
Oh, huge, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
when you were going through this experience, did you feel like there were let's talk about your family a little bit. Like after you went through this experience, did they say that they didn't recognize you, Did you feel less affinity towards them? Like, what were some of the ties that bound you to your kind of previous existence? What were they like, and were they still there?
Oh yeah, that hasn't changed any. And even to this day, my sister didn't talk to me in 17 years, and she just got in touch with me 2 months ago. And she knew nothing about my life. And I told her what had happened about the walk-in, and she's like, it's way beyond her understanding. And she goes, "You mean you're not my brother?" So that's a part that's hard for me to explain
Right.
because I am still the same person, but many things have changed on a spiritual level. I've seen many, many miracles. They've also showed me their technology. The Pleiadians have showed me some of the technology that just it's I learned how miracles are created. With the Matrix, they showed me how miracles are created, and it's just a formula. Okay, and sometimes they will give you a miracle, and sometimes they won't, because there's a big change that has to happen,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to go back in time and create it sooner so it doesn't change anything in the future.
Right. Right.
Like if they were to bring me $1 million, the Hashmalan are in charge of that, and they
Yeah.
are the military for the Pleiadians. It's like God's super warriors.
I hope that when your sister asked you if you were still her brother, that you said, "Yes, I'm your space brother."
Well,
That was a setup.
she's from Texas, so you know how them Texas people are.
Oh, I do. Lot of God down here in Texas.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a comment here that Angie K brought up that I actually want to address. I don't know if you can see the comment.
I can.
I feel like my mom walked in when she passed, but I still feel like me. And the reason I brought this up is because I had a similar experience with my father when he passed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my experience was I felt like he had added like a level of strength to me or something. It was really weird. It was kind of like I felt, it's hard to explain, but it felt like he passed on part of his energetic essence to me when he left. It was a very odd feeling. So I understand this. What Angie has brought up here is a comment, and that happened to me when I was 50, right around 50, 51, right around the Chiron return. It was very interesting. Have you experienced anything like that with people passing, Kenneth? Not just an extraterrestrial or interdimensional, but one of your own family members? Has that ever happened to you?
No,
Okay.
no. I did call my father. He was in the hospital in Tucson, and he was dying. And the minute he took his last breath, I called the hospital. And they told me, well, he's taking his last breath now. So I was very aware that he was leaving his body at that moment. That's as close as I've come to what you're talking about.
That that's a story. Well, it's not common. It's also not uncommon. There are stories of people having very strange experiences while people that they love are passing away or knowing that they're passing away. But that does confer a high degree of sensitivity. Let's talk about some of these other ETs. Who else have you met along your journey?
Okay, let's see. I met reptilians, and this was not a good one. I wound up in the hospital. And they were the warrior. They were the Draco. The shapeshifters.
Right.
You, if you know it, have done any study on them at all, you know that they put these staircase catch portals out in woods and places. Are you aware of that?
Well, we're talking like Skinwalker Ranch, stuff like that.
Um, well, I avoid going there
Right.
because I have no knowledge of what's really going on. I think
Yeah, from what I hear, that place is very dark.
yeah, well, I think it's a cash cow, just like the Bradshaw Ranch in Sedona.
Uh-huh.
You know, I lived there. I know what's going on, and these guys are making lots of money off of their UFO stuff.
Mm.
Um, uh,
So you met the Dracos. Were any of them cool, or were they just all kind of like one blend of bad or something?
well, I I experienced three different types.
Three
It
different
was
types.
my grandson had spent the whole summer with me, and the day after he left is when I went into this dimension. Now I had studied shamanism for years because my grandmother was Choctaw and it interested me.
Right.
And I was aware that they call the I was aware of the reptilians, but they called it in the underground. The shamans did. They would tell stories about meeting them. So when that dimension was opened up to me, I was like, get your gun and your sword out and go get them.
Really?
I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
There's a part of me that was going to war,
Right.
and I don't know why. It was automatic. So come to find out, the whole subdivision I was in were reptilian shapeshifters. My neighbor, who I knew, the old man up on the mountain right behind me in a beautiful, expensive house. It's an old Chinaman. Old Chinaman. The day I left that house, he had two of his men help him down there to talk to me and ask me where I was moving to.
I bet the reptilians ran the HOA.
What?
I bet the reptilians ran the HOA.
Yeah, they and there was there's stairway catch portal and an empty lot just a block away from me. The Pleiadians later on told me what that was, and if I had known it at that time, I'd have done something about it. Now, so during this time of meeting them, it was I found out that there's a dimension they live in that's just parallel to ours, and they can be right under our nose, and we won't even see them.
Yeah, there's a theory that they're actually inside the Earth, right? Like they've been here for a long time.
Yeah, some of them do, but there's different kinds, you
know.
Yeah. So now, once I found out that the reptilians live there, they quickly built a house right on that portal. That was a portal that I found, which I found other portals there in Sedona also.
Mm-hmm.
My experience there goes way above most people's there. In fact, I even had a 3-letter agency come to me asking me where the portals were at.
Really?
Yes, sir. I didn't let them know. I did not feel comfortable. And my spirit immediately said, well, you haven't gone down the road far enough to find it.
Susie's got a question for you about the Dracos. Were they tall and white?
The one I ran into, he was well, probably 8 foot tall and colorful with a huge tail like an alligator tail, standing straight up. His snout was half the size of an alligator, and he stared at me. We got into staring at each other for several minutes. And the amazing thing is, I had no fear, zero fear.
Right.
I've
heard they didn't smell bad.
What?
I heard they smell bad. Did it smell bad?
I wasn't that close.
Okay.
Yeah, the female was more dinosaur type.
Right.
And then there was a 4-legged one. Now, the males said, don't talk to him. Remember, we're not supposed to talk to him. So none of them would engage me in conversation. The female did say some words, and those were kind words later on.
Right.
So then I woke up one morning, there's a green ET standing in my balcony,
Wow.
about 4 foot tall, and he was like green fluorescent color, wearing
That's
clothes.
crazy. You go, there's your balcony, and there's like a 4 foot tall green ET. Like what?
Yeah, yeah. I didn't engage him. I didn't go out and talk to him. And I wish I had him now, but I didn't, and he didn't stay around too long.
Okay, so we're running a little short on time, and I want to get some questions in from the audience.
Okay.
Give a quick rundown of some of the other ETs that you encountered. We got the Pleiadians, we got 3 types of Dracos. Who else? What else?
Okay. One night I went up on Cathedral Rock, which is the male-female vortex in Sedona, and I spent the night in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. 360-degree lightning all around me.
Cool.
And the next morning, when the sun came up, I was the only one there, and this man comes walking up to me right at ground zero on that mountain. And he introduced his name and said he was from Telos. Telos is a city in Mount Shasta.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked for a little bit, and he said he was on his way to Pine Gap, Australia. And I was on my way home. The next one was there's one right here in Moab. I was in a dollar store, had a friend from out of town with me, and when we got home, he said, "Did you see that tall woman?" And she was all white. I mean, really white.
Yeah.
Long arms and lanky.
Mm-hmm.
And the words out of my mouth were, "Yeah, she's an ET." See, I can recognize them. My soul can recognize them. Okay. Well, that scared him. He'll never talk about aliens again.
I think it's kind of cool that you ran into an ET at the dollar store.
Yeah.
They're thrifty. These ETs are thrifty.
There's so many. I think there's thousands of AHKs, also human.
Right.
The kind.
I've seen some very unusual people, man, that don't fit the description of Homo sapien. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, now, I used to sell these alien seeds. I made them to make money for my homeless charity that I set up. And those went around the world. Those sold better than anything. They're little seeds with ET faces on them, and people loved them. So I think that was the cause of me having more ETs, seeing more ETs.
Well, why don't we get some questions from chat for Kenneth? We've got Kenneth for about another 7 minutes here before Mark comes on and joins us. So if you have any questions in chat, why don't you just put them in there, and he'll put them up on the board here, and Kenneth can answer your questions. Sandra says, "I'm so engrossed with the story of the soul." Sandra, there's another sync. There's your Sandra, right, from your story. Are you seeing them lately? Are you having much contact these days? And if so, what are they sharing with you?
Who, the Pleiadians?
Any of them?
Yeah, I had 2 starships parked above me when it was all cloudy.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see it was all in silhouette. I mean, just as plain as day. Nobody can see them. I mean, if you're looking up, you could probably see it, but not many people look up anymore.
Yeah. Angie K asked another question. Are you still you? Are there 2 in you?
I'm more me now.
Oh, that's an interesting observation. You're more of you.
Yeah, I understand a lot more of me. See, being a precognate, I see people's deaths before they die, and I'm able to warn them. I saw my wife's death, the exact same spot. So these things have been enhanced more so.
Right. Yep. Ruth R says, I'm in Pagosa, home of the world's deepest hot springs. Lucky you, Ruth. I'd love to be there. Not far from Moab High Strangeness around this part of the country, Four Corners, but a beautiful and magical place.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It certainly is. You know, all we got to do is believe in magic, and magic is just a formula, and it's just a higher state of being. There's nothing wrong with that unless you make it wrong.
Yep.
Unless you use it for evil. So.
Yep.
All How did the fear feel?
How did the fear? Did you have any fear?
Yeah, right before the walk-in, I trembled. It was just an uncontrollable tremble. I didn't feel really electric.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. We're just trying to bring Mark in here. So let's do this. So Kenneth, after we part ways today, what's on your dance card?
I've got some research to take care of.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to help people around the world, spiritually, and so I answer a lot of questions. And
so they want you to come back again. Can we have you back on?
Absolutely.
All right, we'll do that. We'll have you back on again. Well, I want to thank you for being on with us today, Kenneth.
Well, it's my pleasure.
And you and I will connect, and we'll take a look at your chart, which we didn't get a chance to do that today in the day of the walk-in experience. I'm looking forward to that to see, because that would be theoretically your new chart as well. So we'll play with that. We'll circle back offline. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Love to everybody out there, and Robert ranks right up there with Evangelina Adams, who is a superstar.
Well, I take that as a compliment. So thank you very much, Kenneth.
Okay. We'll talk to you later.
Take care, my friend.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. So that was Kenneth Dungan, the Cosmic Cowboy, giving us some insight into the walk-in experience. How would you feel if you were greeted by a being of light in your room? And it was so great and so intense and overwhelming that when you felt fear, it receded from your view and consciousness. But when you were able to dispel the fear, it showed up again. And when you were open to it, it actually merged with you from head to toe. How would you feel if you had an experience like that? Maybe you have. I know one thing. We're about to be ready to be joined by a being of light in the flesh. And that's our friend, Mr. Mark S. from Cruelty Free Cartoons. What's going on, my man?
Well, how you doing?
I'm good. We just had a visitation from my buddy Kenneth out there in Moab, talking about the high strange in Sedona and Moab, and merging with this Pleiadian being of light, and it changing his life course from that point forward.
Yeah, it was a really interesting interview, and it kind of triggered lots of stories that I experienced myself with some of the people that I've come across in a number of years.
Have you ever encountered a being of light like that in your room that was so overwhelming?
I've encountered a light experience where I've seen people pop into light, but not in that way.
Right.
Yeah, it was interesting phenomena that occurred.
Yeah. I used to get the sleep paralysis, and I would see stuff in the lower fourth dimension, which was not fun.
No, I bet not.
No, that's not fun. But I was able to kind of transcend that. And then some of the other things I started to see were quite interesting. You know, you have to get beyond those Bardo-like thought forms, and then the good stuff starts to happen.
I agree that not thinking is really important.
I'll never forget one time I get the sleep paralysis, right? And what do I see at the end of my bed? Nothing but an enormous mouth, just waiting to devour me, like no eyes or anything. It's like this comic book head with no eyes, just this enormous mouth. like just waiting to like eat me from the feet up.
Well, it's probably just trying to scare you into weakness.
Or is that? And there are a few other things too, like these strange little creatures you see in like a David Cronenberg movie, like scurrying across my bed, and that whole period led me into the out of body experience stuff, which happened based 21 till about 31, 32, 33. Generally happened at night. So Angie K says it's a memory of my birth. Maybe. I think Freud would call it the vagina dentata, right? That's how Freud would basically characterize that. So let's talk about who you are, why you're here, and we're going to get interactive with our audience. I always love this. So Mark has an absolutely incredible gift for tuning in to people very subtly, very quickly, and extracting the joyful, whimsical, intelligent elements from them through a little conversation, and creating, I don't know, you call them cruelty-free cartoons. I like to call them spirit caricatures. I'm not sure I'm doing it justice or not. But you really are able to extract the essence of people in a very whimsical way. And you're here to do that for our people here today. So thanks for being here, for doing that.
That's fun. I love coming here.
Yeah. And not only that, but Mark is going to be at our event here in Texas on the eclipse, October 13th. So just under a month from now, you and I will get to meet each other in the flesh, and we're going to have a Saturday night where you're going to set up shop, and people there are going to be able to have some fun and learn more about themselves through your wonderful process. So, and you've been in Florida lately and enjoying the East Coast of Florida.
Yeah, my journey, I ended up coming to Florida, and my body said, "Stay here. You're home now." So I dropped anchor on the East Coast of Florida. So I'm in Fort Lauderdale at the moment, and I like it down here. Florida is like psychic whack-a-mole. There's always something popping up in your face, so it's always interesting. It's so much a nice contrast from the intense, violent, muted energy of Canada.
I saw a picture of Trudeau today. He fucking looks more Cuban with every month, right? You know the story about him and Castro and all that stuff.
Oh, of course. Right? Yeah.
He's looking more Cuban all the time. It's weird.
But he doesn't have that hunger for freedom that a lot of Cubans have, that I've seen down here.
No, he has the hunger for Castro's power.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do this? Let's take the link here. We're going to copy this link and we're going to put it in the chat. And we have a Canadian, Leanne, laugh out loud, as a Canadian here. He is Castro's son. I totally believe that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so I'm putting the link in the chat, and this is a very painless experience. All you have to do is join the show, and Mark will talk to you, and I'll get out of the way, and he'll create a nice little caricature or a cartoon, a cruelty-free cartoon, and we'll figure out a way to get it to you. Yeah, let's let the party start here. Anybody who wants to come on the show, and we'll show you how it works in real time. We had pretty good response last time. I think you did about 3 of them last time, and they were all very cool.
It was fun.
Yeah. And we're really looking forward to you coming out here in September. All right, don't be shy, people. Jump on in here. And do you think, based on what you heard with Kenneth, do you think you could have done something with him without the facial stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
I know you could.
I never know what to expect, but as I was listening, okay, there's this, because things just pop in as I go along listening, and it was interesting. I really kind of enjoyed the earnestness of the old cowboy.
Right, and he is a cowboy. That's what he does. You have somebody, Leo Leon Vito Vincent Radwood, the Count. He's here. Leon, you got a camera for us, buddy?
Sadly, no, actually.
Can you see his face, Mark?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. I guess this is a challenge. Now, one thing I gotta look in, how do I pin on my end to get it bigger? We haven't done this StreamYard test yet.
Oh, we have not.
No, so this is. Oh well, you know what? Wing it.
Okay, let me see. Do you need me to get out of the way here? Maybe I can get out.
Nah, that's fine. I'm good.
Okay.
Hey, Leon, nice to meet you.
You too, Mark.
So, if you put your hand on your heart
Yes.
and you feel that spot,
Yes.
and in this moment, from your heart to you, if you felt completely free, you could be or do anything. What would that be for you?
A sunset.
A sunset. And is that for gazing, for watching, or for?
Exactly, for enjoyment, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of my fondest experiences when I was with my grandparents on a camping place and we were just looking at the sunset.
I can make that work for you. Now, are you from Germany or Austria?
Yes. Yeah, Germany.
I have some. I used to have homestay students and a family from a place called Bierstein in Hessen in Germany, like near Frankfurt. And the family would go to a place called Wangeroo. Does that sound familiar to you?
Not really.
It's on the Baltic, and I think it's an island with no cars.
That sounds really chill.
Yeah, there. Are you in Germany now at this moment?
Yeah, Germany, Hamburg.
Hamburg.
Yes. I love the character.
We'll get it really good in a sunset kind of feel here. Now, in what is it you do in Germany?
I work right now as a waiter, and yeah, I also sell some stones online.
Okay. So is kind of like crystals and other.
Exactly.
I gotcha. We can get all that in there.
Cool.
What we'll do is we'll make this into.
Oh, I like the purple.
We'll make it a giant amethyst here.
You picked the colors well.
Well, I don't think very much. I find it not very helpful. So,
I believe that.
or when I do think a lot, it hasn't helped.
Yeah, that's the problem with the thoughts, right? Rather than acting on intuition.
Well, I think it's a practice thing.
Exactly.
You work on it, and then as you get more comfortable with it, you get more confidence to even ask inappropriate questions or to trust yourself and go into it.
Awesome.
Actually, where I grew up, there was a mine that was like for zinc and lead and nickel, and there are a lot of these crystals like you see here were littered on the beach everywhere, like as mining tailings. And as a kid, you could pick up buckets of them.
Wow.
And they were considered a waste product at that time. in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, they were actually not appreciated.
Funny how things change, right?
Yeah. Let's get a few more in here. Whoops. Okay, let's get the sunset part now. One thing about being here in South Florida, the skies are absolutely magical.
Do you have like a full spectrum sunset sometimes?
Yeah, everywhere from the transition from blue to red to orange to purples to yellows to everything, and there's these marine layers that are full of all kinds of color.
Wow.
Oops.
I would love to be one day in Florida for a sunset.
Yeah, it's like I said, one of my most favorite parts about living here.
Like that.
The skies are worth the price of admission.
Awesome.
Okay.
Whoa.
Oopsie, wrong button. So you must be from now? I'm guessing must be about 6 hours. Is it you have 8 p.m. there right now?
Exactly. 8:13 to be correct.
There's a little more little touch here, and then I think we're gonna have it good. We'll make it the business from, remote business, like you said, you're selling
Thanks.
online.
Thanks.
Yeah. But I've been to Germany, and I sure enjoyed it when I was there visiting.
What do you liked about it? About the country?
I don't know. I just have an affinity at some level. Maybe it could have been a previous lifetime that I experienced, because it was always kind of comfortable and very familiar. And I like, yeah, it was just a very, I felt comfortable. I mean, at a level I couldn't say, well, it's because of this or that. It's just, it was a general comfort.
Like a familiar place.
Familiar, very familiar. There we go. I'm just going to get this last little bit here. All right. So do you go by Leon Vito or Leon, or how do you?
You can, if you like to, you can do all of them. If
Okay.
not, just Leon. Rather.
What? No. What do you? It's your cartoon.
Then my full name, please.
So excuse me.
Then my full name, please.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you.
Leon Vito Vincent.
Exactly.
There you are. Can you see it all right?
Thanks. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming out.
Leon, I put my my email address in chat. Just scroll up a little bit. Send me your email, and Mark will send me the illustration, and I'll forward it to you. Okay?
Yeah, thank you. I can give you my email just right here in the chat if you'd like to.
That's fine too.
Okay, perfect. And I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay. Thank you, Leon, and it's good to connect with you during the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the show, and always lovely to chime in here.
Yeah, you're welcome, my friend. You take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, you got a handful on your hands now, Mark.
Oh, good. More fun.
Say hi to Lynn. Say hi to Lynn.
Hey, Lynn.
All right, you got a handful on your hands now, Mark. You got to turn your speaker down, Lynn. Say hi to Lynn.
She'll hear it in 7 seconds.
Hey, Lynn. All right, you got a handful on your hands now, Mark. Turn your speaker down. Mark.
Turn my speaker down?
Yes.
7 seconds.
You need to turn your speaker way down.
How do I turn my, I don't see a way to turn my speaker down.
Well, Mark needs to ask you questions.
How do I turn my, I don't see a way
It's called a volume adjustment on your computer.
Or you can plug in headphones.
Okay. That noise is not coming from me. I don't know. I don't have any of that. That noise is not coming from me. I don't know. I don't have any of that. That noise is not coming from me.
It's like echoing through time. It's like you're listening to Lynn for eternity.
There's a tear in the continuum.
Lynn, go find some headphones.
What?
Go find some headphones.
I don't know what's going on.
You need to find some headphones.
What? Seriously?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute you.
Hold on.
I'm gonna mute you. There we go. Oh my God! All right, anybody else? Jump on in while Lynn is getting her situation together. There, it's very painless. Very painless. An eternity of Lynn echoing in your brain. Not. Let's see. Does she get some headphones? Looks like she's walking around pretty well there. You guys don't be shy. If you need to jump in while Lynn gets her audio trip together, go ahead and do that. All right, here we go. You're ready for this?
Yeah.
So.
All right. Here we go. You're ready for this? Oh.
Can we go without headphones? Are we okay now?
All right. Here we go. You're ready for this?
Can we go without headphones? Are we okay now?
It's up to Mark. It's up to Mark.
Okay.
Can we go without headphones? Are we
All
okay
right.
now?
It's up to Mark. It's up to Mark.
Oh, this is a challenge. You know what? I'm gonna have some fun with this one.
It's up to Mark. It's up to Mark.
Oh, this is a challenge. You know what? I'm gonna have some fun with this one.
This Mercury retrograde has been really bad. I'm not surprised I'm not getting affected by it. This Mercury retrograde has been really bad. I'm not surprised I'm not getting affected by it. I can talk to him a little bit if you want me to.
Sure.
I can talk to him a little bit if you want me to.
Sure.
Can he hear me?
Yeah.
I can talk to him a little bit if you want me to. Okay, Mark,
Yep.
can he hear me?
Lynn,
Okay.
mute YouTube. Mute
Mark,
your YouTube.
put me in the mountains of Panama.
Lynn, mute your YouTube.
Lynn, mute YouTube. Mark, put me in the mountains of Panama. Growing these avocados. What?
Mute your YouTube.
Growing these avocados. What?
Mute your YouTube.
Growing these avocados. I came in on YouTube, but I don't know what to do. Oh, wait a minute. I came in on YouTube. Okay, okay. Edit audio avatar. Stop mic. No, I
Stop
don't want
mic.
to do that. Okay.
No, audio.
Edit audio avatar. Stop mic. No, I don't want to do that. Okay.
No, audio.
Edit audio avatar. Stop mic. No, I don't want to do that. It says this avatar will be used when your camera is off. I don't understand any of it. It says this avatar will be used when your camera is off. I don't understand any of it. It says this avatar will Should I hit done? Shit. Should I hit done?
Mark, why don't you throw some avocados
Should I
in
hit
there?
done?
Lynn, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to walk Mark through this. Okay, so she's into avocados.
Oh, I heard everything.
Okay.
So I do hear you, Lynn. I did hear you very well. I guess the secret would be for you to mute your YouTube, because when it's playing in the background, the microphone's picking it up and it's playing it again and again. So then your Zoom picks it up and then we're listening to it in infinity. YouTube listening or StreamYard listening to your YouTube stream. So that's, we've all been there at first when we've done this.
And she's currently in Panama.
Yep.
And astrologically, she's a Cancer, Mark.
Got it.
And she's a huge fan of me and my show.
Well, understandable.
Oh, there it goes. I got my mic back.
Of me and my show.
I've watched every Robert show since the very beginning. I'm part of the club. There it goes. I got my mic back.
Lynn, I got to mute you. You're echoing
I've
too much.
watched every Robert show since the very.
This will not happen in real time. Oh, and look, your avocado babies.
Oops.
Look at that, Lynn.
I'm making an avocado nursery.
There you go. Here's your incubator.
Now, I think the best tasting ones are grown next to the outhouse, aren't they?
Probably.
Okay, let's get the. Whoops, we gotta change some of these. Just our group. There we go. Now in the mountains. I suppose I've seen enough coffee commercials to know what a Central American mountain looks like.
I live in the mountains where the best coffee in the world grows.
Perfect.
Central American mountain looks like.
I live in the mountains where the best coffee in the world grows.
Central American mountain.
Well, that's the fun part about live stuff, rolling with the unexpected.
Right. I enjoy the live experience, even if it gets a little chaotic.
Oh, wait, that's right. We're gonna have some free range ones. Oops. I have them everywhere, Lynn, so you can see that these avocado, they're free range.
My farm is called Finca Feliz.
Finca Feliz? How do I say that? Spell that?
FINCA FELIZ.
Like that?
That's it.
You want to do it, Robert, or you want me to?
I took care of it already.
Yes, FINCA FELIZ. You want to do it, Robert, or you want me to? No, it means happy farm. I'll get off.
All right. Nice to meet you. I think I've got you.
All right, Lynn, we'll be sure to send you a copy of this, okay? Thanks for being you. Bye for now, Lynn. Great seeing you. All right. Got time for one more?
Oh yeah, I got all the time you need.
All right. Who wants to come on up here? So make sure your YouTube is muted so that we can have a nice conversation. Mark, you did a great job on that.
Oh, thank you.
With scant knowledge, although I think you got perhaps more than you accounted for. Let's see.
10 times.
Anybody else? Come on, don't be shy. Step right up. Have your picture illustrated. Cruelty Free Cartoons. Just waiting for you to discover who you are. It's free, it's painless. join the show. Let me put the link back in just to make sure people have the link, because I'll let's do this. Put it in there one more time. There's the link. Do not be shy. As you've seen, it's a very painless experience, and you come out looking better than when you walked in. And where else can you get that? Oh, wait, Mark's already done me. I have one on my computer. He's already done me. I would nominate either Susie or Kelly.
I was thinking Susie Gemini. She always says hello, and just so everyone knows, in the chat, usually when I'm listening, I'm drawing, so I'm not really watching the chat, but I do get the nice hello every now and then, and I do appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, Susie, why don't you come in here? Come on, you're Gemini. You love this stuff. Just click on that link.
Both of you can come on.
You can both come on. We've got some time. We got a half hour left in this show. No, Robert, I'm sorry, not today. Okay. Let's see. What about Ryan? Come on, Ryan, jump in here. Ryan's got some interesting stuff you could build into the image. Come on, Ryan. If we can't get one Gemini, we get another one. Let's see if he can come in here. Come on, Ryan. You guys have this great resource at your disposal, and you're not using it. Come on, don't be shy. Give something to yourself. Allow yourself to have an experience. Have a Friday treat. It's a new moon in Virgo. It can change your life. I can't believe that this group is shy like this. Even though Ryan is the introspective woodworker. Oh, Autumn Greer. We got one.
All right.
We got one, Mark. Hi, Autumn.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Well, glad to be here.
Okay. Well, looks like you're all set with your sound, so that's a good place to start.
Had to get my kids big headphones. So.
Okay. Well, Mark, she's all yours.
Miss Autumn, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Mark. It's very cool.
Oh, thank you. Hand on your heart.
Absolutely.
No, that's for you. I feel like that's for you. So in this moment, from your heart to you, if you felt completely free, you could be or do anything. What would that be for you?
I would be in the Redwood Forest, probably.
All right.
I've always wanted to go visit.
Where do you live now?
I'm in Texas. I'm from Austin, Texas. But yeah, I've been to California. I just didn't get to go see the redwoods. I was in San Francisco, but never got to go. So hopefully.
We'll hardcore redwood this up for you.
Yeah, awesome. Beautiful.
There's they're pretty cool.
You've been there?
I have.
Excellent.
And on the Canadian side, there's another area that's similar on Vancouver Island, which has these massive trees.
I bet. Yeah. I lived in Naples, Florida when I was a teenager, and that's beautiful. You live on the east side of Florida, correct?
Yeah, I was in Naples for about a week when I first arrived down here.
It's gorgeous.
My client, who I'm working with, he goes, I want to do a book about pickleball. And I go, what the heck's pickleball? And he said, meet me in Naples. And so I came down for the US Open and hung out courtside on the at the tournament and hung out in Naples for a week. And then I just started hanging out in Florida.
Very cool. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, the beach is amazing there.
Sarasota's beach. I was there for a couple of weeks too, and it was pretty magical.
Beautiful. The white sand, clear water. It's been years since I've been there, but it was beautiful. One of my favorite beach spots. And
then, what's made Florida even more interesting is those Dr. Narco Longo videos.
Yes, love Dr. Narco Longo. He's great.
Actually, I swung
Definitely.
by his bookstore last week or 10 days ago, and I
Oh, nice.
popped in
Very
and said
cool.
hello.
And he'll be at the event this year. So
Oh, cool.
little Florida bonus.
Nice. Where's the event?
Kerrville.
Oh, Kerrville. Okay, cool. Not too far from Kerrville at all.
No, you're not. Which part of Austin are you in?
Well, actually, I moved out of Austin. I live in Weatherford, Texas now.
Okay.
But I was born and raised there. I left 3 years ago. Just family. So, yeah. Lot smaller of a town. Austin grew exponentially, a little too much for me. It's not really the same place. Still love it, but it's just too crazy to, raise my family there. We lived in Leander, then even that was getting overpopulated. So we just moved up here, and pretty great, but I'm still really close to Kerrville. It still feels like the hill country too, because there's just tons of it's like the west side of Texas. It's beautiful, the hills and cliffs and all that stuff. So very similar to home, basically.
Cool. Good.
Kerrville too is very beautiful. Fredericksburg, I love Fredericksburg.
I'm just outside of Fredericksburg right now.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I love Enchanted Rock. One of my favorite spots to go. Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be my first time in that part of Texas.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Robert, you're in Texas, is that correct?
Yeah. No, I'm just outside of Fredericksburg.
Yeah. Okay. So you're stationed. Good.
Yeah. So, Mark, we're not seeing your illustration.
Oh, heck. Duh. I'm sorry.
Look at that.
I got distracted. I apologize.
No, it's totally cool. Wow. Okay. Very cool. I'm typically a pretty shy person, but I think this is just so neat. So I really am glad to be a part of this. Very cool. Appreciate it.
Well, I get a lot of people who, were traumatized by other cartoonists for sure. And so I do get a lot of stories like that. Yeah, this person drew me, they drew this about me, and I felt terrible afterwards. And
you're helping them through their trauma.
Basically.
Where's my volume? Yeah.
Autumn, you're getting lots of love in chat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
People are
love everybody too.
remarking on your beauty and your grace.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, that's hilarious.
Is that an email?
Well,
yeah, I was just about to ask that. It's very hilarious. little furry friend to keep me company. Yeah.
Well, that's where they filmed that version of Star Wars in the Redwood Forest in California.
Ooh, okay. Actually, I did not know that. That's very cool. Very cool. What's the date of the meetup? I didn't catch that. In Kerrville.
It starts on Friday the 13th in October. And goes.
Ooh, okay, sweet. Very cool.
Yeah, the information's on my website.
Okay, nice.
I have your little house to live in up there in the trees.
Okay, sweet. Very cool.
So, Autumn, I just put my email address inside of the chat. Just find my comment.
Excellent. And thank you. Oh, cool.
Send me an email, and I'll forward.
I will.
Illustration onto you.
I will definitely. And thank you both.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet y'all. Very nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, Autumn.
And,
You take care, okay?
I will. You have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye. That is so cool.
Apologies for not paying attention.
No, it's okay. We got you about halfway through, and we're having a nice conversation about the Hell Country. I think we got time for maybe one more if somebody wants to jump in. What about Christine? I would love for Christine to be a part of this. Come on, Christine. Jump on in here. Let me throw this in there one more time. We need a little black pill energy. We're gonna gray pill Christine.
All right.
See if she can come in here. We should dress like Cathars on Friday at the event. Sure, I'll bring the chainmail and the crosses. It's hard to go on live. You know, it's kind of, that's an interesting comment, right? It's hard to go on live. I do this all the time, so it's like but I'm used to it, and it's like other people aren't quite used to this.
Well, my experience, I mean, this is 25 years of events. There is a shy period that people go through.
Yeah.
And then after they see 2 or 3 and then no one's getting destroyed, then it becomes the floodgates open and they get really, really busy.
Right.
But
yeah.
I mean, some people want to be lampooned hard, but I have to feel the vibe of the room because it's not about the person I'd be lampooning. It's the person watching who might be traumatized behind me that I can't see. You know, they see that and then they're going to go through their own process. Of, oh my God, what's he going to draw about me?
Right.
And so I feel around before I go too far.
So you got that 360 vision going on.
It's always on.
Yeah. Yeah. In the NFL, they with quarterbacks, they call it pass rush awareness.
Yeah, and it's a useful skill, especially living down here too.
It is. Yeah, for sure. Right. Let's see. Can't get on StreamYard. I would if I could. Okay. Well, we'll have to wait. You have to do it in person with Mark when you're here in October. So we have the last call. We're gonna do one more call for
Cartoona Hall.
Last call for Cartoona Hall. And so we've got about maybe about half a minute for you guys to get in here. Kelly, you take care. You have a great day as well. And it's a big weekend for college football. I'm going to attend. I think I told you this. My son has invited me. It's his Father's Day for his frat in November. So I'm going to go to a big time NC2A football game in November with Auburn, Arkansas versus Auburn. And I even went out and bought some Arkansas swag. So going to represent.
That like be like bib overalls.
You know, that's an interesting thing. I actually went for a little more style than that, though.
Okay.
The Lieber in me said, go style.
Go style.
Go style, yeah. But I am going to do a show from there. I'm going to do a show. I'll be there on Friday. So I'll do a show from Arkansas.
I like Arkansas.
On that Friday. I do too. It's been a long time since I've been there. But they actually did a pretty good job getting my kid. They try to get these Texans to go to school there. So they offer these scholarships for Texans to go to Arkansas. It's actually cheaper for my kid to go to Arkansas than it is to the Texas schools, if you can believe that. He's a resident here. So, yeah. All right. Anybody else? We got a little countdown here. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2.5, 1.5, 1.25, 1. I guess we're done, Mark.
And we're spent.
Yeah. Well, thank you. 3 seems to be the magic number. I don't know why. But 3, I think you did 3 last time, right?
I think so.
Yeah. 3 is a good number. Well, so Mark is available. If you have a company and you want to hire Mark for these events, these corporate events, he's available for that. Go to crueltyfreetunes.com. That's the website, right?
Cartoons.com.
Cruelty Free Cartoons, my bad.
Yeah.
Crueltyfreecartoons.com. I'll make sure we have the link inside the show notes. So if you want to hire Mark, he's work for hire. He's great for corporate parties, and he's going to be at our event starting on the 13th, Saturday night. We're going to have him do his magic, and if you're going to be here and available, you'll get one of these all revved up and ready to go. Mark is going to have a printer, and he's going to print the stuff out. So it's going to be very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and having you at the event in general. You're going to be a great addition, and thanks for being here.
I'm excited. It's been a couple of years in the making to make it down, but I'm really excited to be coming up.
Yeah, you threatened last year. You were close last year.
Yeah, I actually kind of get under the weather, so I was like, I better.
I remember that.
Canada made me kind of gun shy of doing anything for a bit.
Well, it was tough, man. There were a tough couple of years, and what people don't know is you had to completely retrofit your business because you were doing this live for these events that we're talking about. They're being very successful, and then everything shut down, and you went all in. You just geared up technologically, and you taught yourself OBS, and you created all this because you knew that you had to be flexible and kind of recreate what you did. And now there's new things that have come out of that. So kudos to you on that.
Yeah, thank you. It was yeah. All the advice that I heard that made sense to me was just hustle forward. And
Right.
I wasn't, and I wasn't prepared to sit with, my proverbial thumb up my butt, waiting for permission to live. So, and of course, I mean, I got locked across the border with all my life locked in Las Vegas, and I'm with 2 weeks of clothes in my suit and my computer stuck in Canada, and for a year and a half. And then, so it's like, build it or, get a real job, which seemed like,
Ooh. We're glad you toughed it out.
Yeah. It was.
All right. Thank you, my friend. Much love to you. And you have yourself a great weekend, and I'll be seeing you real soon. Okay.
All right. Be well.
And I'll send you the private link, which is not so private now, or the private email, not so private now. And you can send me those, and I'll forward those on to the folks. Okay.
You got it.
All right, Mark. Take good care.
Be well.
All right. You too. That is our good friend Mark from Cruelty Free Cartoons.com. And where else are you going to find this on a Friday? We had our guest, Kenneth, the Cosmic Cowboy Dungan, talking about his walk-in experience and some of the various ETs he's met along the way. And then after that, what do we have? We have these great cartoons and people who were a little shy at the beginning and came in and had some wonderful illustrations done. You're not going to find this in too many other channels. So feel free, hit the like, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I never tell people to do it, but I feel like it's my obligation. And if you want to check out Mark and his work and a bunch of other stuff, Dr. Longo from Old World, Florida, Shauna Home, I'm going to be here. It's going to be a great event on the eclipse weekend right here in Kerrville, Texas. I think we have some rooms left. Go to robertphoenix.com and you can find out all the details, sign up, get a ticket, jump in. It's going to be a weekend to remember, right? You're gonna file this weekend away as something that is going to be an important part of your life. Trust me on this. I'm good at it. All right, take good care, everybody. Use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart too simple as possible. Speaking of Longo, he'll be here on Sunday night. We'll be doing a simulcast live stream. I'll have my stream going on, and he'll be streaming to his channel, and it'll be a lot of fun. We'll be talking about Venus, Libra, the Garden of Eden on his side, and I've got some stuff with the U.S. chart and Keanu Reeves as Cyberchrist, a little bit of September 23rd as a doomsday date, and you're going to want to be there. You're going to want to be informed and check it out and chime in and create an experience together here online. All right. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.